Have you ever wondered what color goes with what? If I add this color, will I get mud? Will I get this? Will I get that? Does this work with this color, etc.? Well, I decided to create a DIY color wheel to help me with my questions. This works for whether or not you're a stamper, a watercolorist. This would even work if you're going into your closet and want to put together an outfit and you want to know if a color would coordinate with another color. So DIY color wheel. I'm doing it with watercolors, but you can do it with any inks or any kind of color that you have on hand. So hang with me and let's get right to it. All right, so let's get into this DIY color wheel that will work for anything. You don't have to be a watercolor artist or a stamper to create your own color wheel. It's going to work for you in other areas of your life. If you like designing, my mother's an interior designer. I did not inherit that quality, but it even helps when you're trying to work with colors, throw pillows, whatever. Color wheel is helpful. You can buy one, but why buy one when you can make one yourself with stuff that you already own? So I am using a watercolor palette that I created. I am using a dish here that I got off of Amazon. I'll link it below in case you're interested, but you can use a dish from your kitchen. You can use glass, whatever. You know, you don't need to go run out and buy anything fancy to mix your colors in. What I did was I traced this color wheel onto some watercolored cardstock with some masking fluid. You can use a pen if you don't have masking fluid. I just wanted to use masking fluid so the dividers would be the color of the watercolor cardstock I'm using. But again, if you don't have that, grab yourself a permanent pen is preferred. You don't want, you don't want any water bleeding out all your lines. So grab a permanent pen if you don't have masking fluid or don't want to take that extra step. Once that's dry, I'm starting to go in and create my palette. And I'm going to put down some basic primary colors that I like that are already made for me. They're from the watercolor palette that I created. So I'm going to add a yellow, a red, and a blue. So I'll do yellow, then I'll skip 3 rectangles, add the red, skip 3 rectangles, and add the blue. Again, I'm using colors I already have that are already pre-mixed. You don't have to use watercolors. You can grab ink refills. You can use watercolored markers, pens, whatever you have for your color mixing. It does not have to be fancy watercolor palettes. You can get kids' Crayola paints if you want to. I mean, seriously. So that I have the 3 colors down, I'm going to grab my watercolor palette. Anytime I create my own palette, I create a swatch sheet so I can see what I'm looking at. I need to go in and add an orange, a purple, and a green. Now I could start mixing and creating those colors, but there are colors that I already have in my watercolor palette that I like. So I'm just going to use those. There's no need for me to do any mixing because there's colors already mixed for me that I like. So I'm going to go in and add an orange. This is kind of almost like a red orange, which is why I'm putting it so close to the red. Then I have a couple of shades of green that I really like and I'm toying around with. Do I want to do with a vibrant grass green or do I want to do a forest green? And I chose to go with a vibrant green. It's actually called hooker's green. I don't know why. And I put it in the wrong place. I put it right next to the blue, and I'm going to realize in a second I put that in the wrong place. Don't fear if you make that mistake. I'll show you how to fix it. So I'm going to go in and add the purple straight from the palette. And I will go in and label the colors that I'm pulling straight from my palette without any mixing on the back of this, so I'll know for reference. It's always kind of important to reference any colors that you're using as your base color, because if you want to recreate the mix of the color that we're going to do here in just a second, you need to know what colors you put down. So here I am realizing my green is in the wrong place. So I am wetting that rectangle with some clean water. Then I'm going to grab a dry cloth. It's a microfiber cloth that I'm supposed to use for dusting, but I don't like to clean, so I don't. And then I'm just going to basically dab up that green. There's still a little bit of it left, but don't worry, we're going to cover that right up. So if you make the mistake and kind of put your color in the wrong place, have no fear. You can get it up. So now I'm going to go in and put the green where it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to make sure everything is good and dry before I move on because I don't want my colors to smear or anything like that. And the last color that I'm going to put down of a color I already have in my palette that I like is a very bright, vibrant orange. This is more in the orange family. So I have orange, then I have like a red orange, which I would have gotten if I mixed the orange I'm putting down now and the red together. I would have gotten that little reddish orange color, but why do that when I already have the color? I'm so lazy. All right, so let's move on. So these are all my base colors. I'm just going to call them my base colors because I have them. They're already mixed. They're already in my palette. They have a name, and I'll label that later. I'll get to it. But now let's get to the mixing. If you want to mix two colors together to get your own custom color, you just mix what's to the left and the right. So in this instance, I'm mixing yellow and orange to get that kind of yellow-orange color, right? And I'm just going to keep going. So next is red and purple. So I'm going to take the red and the purple and mix it together. Now you can create whatever kind of color you like. If you want more red in there, add more red to your mix. If you want more purple, add more purple. It's really whatever you want to do. You can keep mixing until you get the color that you like, but you're mixing the two colors to the left and the right. So now I have this like plummy burgundy looking color. So what's next? The purple and the blue. Sorry, I went a little off screen there. My palette is overtaking me. This is a beautiful color. Mixing that purple and that blue, that is just stunning. So again, add however much you want of one color, or you can keep it equal ratios. It's really whatever you want to do. Mixing colors is fun, and you get the consistency that you want with whatever color you want to bring in. I wanted more blue in this one in particular. I wanted a nice turquoise, so I added more blue and green. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just going to keep doing this until my whole color wheel, that center row, is filled up. And then I'm going to make sure everything is good and dry before I move on to the next. Now, I'm sure this particular row has a specific name, and the class that I am getting all this information from, I am linking below in the YouTube description for you. I also have free 2 months for you, so you can click on that and get free 2 months and get free access to this class. And she goes into all the education behind the color wheel and all these different fancy words and all this stuff. But this row is basically a watered down version of the color we just put down. That shows how you can get different intensities of your color. So I'm basically taking the color that I put down, and I kept all the color mixes on my palette over there to the right, and I am just basically watering that color. I'm picking up the paint, I'm dipping that paint into some clean water, and I'm putting it down onto the color wheel. And it's just showing how you can get a watered down lighter color of the color that you put down just by adding more water. So if you want the color light, you add more water. If you want it darker, you add less water, if that makes sense. So now that row is done. I did zap it with my heat tool to make sure it's dry because I don't want my hand dragging through the color and messing everything up. And now we're doing that most inner row, and this is going to be like a high intensity color. So it's basically a darker version of the color that we're putting down. And I'm choosing to mix the color that is across from the color, right? This will make sense in a second. I wish my color wheel was in frame. So basically, I'm taking a color and I'm mixing it from the color that's across from it, so the complementary color. So I'm taking that little purple mix that I made and I mixed it with green. Now I'm going to go, this is the red, this is the actual red that I put down, and I'm going to mix it with the green that's across. Now I can pick any variation of green. I can go with the lighter green or the darker green. It's really whatever, floats my boat. And then when I mix those two colors together, you can see I'm getting a more intense color of the red because I'm mixing the color that's complementary. So the orange, I'm going to mix with that turquoise color that's across from the wheel. You kind of have some wiggle room. You can kind of go with what's right across and kind of what's right to left of it, but you want to kind of stay in that range. So if here's the green, that's the hooker's green that I originally put down, and I mixed it with the purple. And so forth and so on. You can add as much of that other color as you want, or you can add very little until you just get a color that you want. This just gives you an idea of all the color mixes that you can get just by using these basic colors that we put down. And I put 7 colors down from my palette that I already had pre-mixed, but you can really create as many colors as you want from red, yellow, and blue. But I was lazy and I already like the colors that I had out. So that's, the basics of the color wheel. So you have your primary colors or your base colors, then you have your mixes, then you have the low intensity, and that's just adding water to lighten the color, and then you have your high intensity row, which is just adding the color that's across from it. So then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So I just cut the circle, and then I cut the circle out of the middle. If you have a die cut or something, I mean, you could do it, but why? It's so much easier just to grab some scissors. And then I'm removing the masking fluid. So if you didn't use a masking fluid, you skip this step because you have a pen you have your pen lines down. But if you did add masking fluid, make sure everything's good and dry before you go ahead and push off that masking fluid. And now I'm left with those pretty white lines, and I just think it's, really pretty. You can use a white permanent marker too if you wanted. So at this point, I'm going to flip it over on the back, and I'm going to label the colors that I actually took from my watercolor palette. Those are colors that I already had. I didn't do any mixing, and that's going to help me if I ever want to go and remix these colors again or whatever. So again, I got this class off of Skillshare. I went specifically looking for it because I didn't understand color mixing. I didn't understand any of that, and I'm going to link the class that I took below. I do have free 2 months for you if you're interested, so you can actually take a look at this class from a professional who knows all the fancy schmancy words about color mixing. I love Skillshare. I actually bought the year subscription myself after I took a couple of courses because there's so much on there, from watercoloring to crafting to writing to photography to apps to cooking. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff on here. And I have a whole playlist created of things that I want to take in the future here. It's just a community for creative people who just get in there. It's very detailed classes. It's stepped out by lessons and chapters. So it's different than YouTube. You may say, why would I want to go over there? Because there's YouTube. These are more broken down and structured specifically for courses that you want to take, that you want to learn about. You can interact with the instructor. She'll answer your questions. You can upload your projects for feedback or just to share with other people that are taking classes with you. So I really enjoy it. It's for anyone. It's for beginners to those that are top-notch in their field. So that's why I keep continuing to take these Skillshare classes and continue to share stuff that I've made with them. I just enjoy them. There's just no other way to put it. So there you have it. Color wheels. This is some footage from the actual class that I took, and I strongly recommend it for just knowledge. Here's a look at my finished color wheel, which I have laminated, and that way it's protected. So I could actually use it as a palette if I want to. So that's why I strongly encourage that you laminate any kind of palettes that you create. You can get a really cheap laminator off of Amazon or any office store. So there you have it. Here's a couple of looks at some other videos that I have created, courtesy of the knowledge that I have gained from Skillshare, if you want to take a look at it. And I will be back again very soon for my next video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.